Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the series I'm trying to do called How It Should Have Went. Now, for this one, I want to look at a part of a series that originally was created first, then got put on the shelves, or at least put on hiatus, in favor of a different version due to background or behind the scenes issues. That, of course, is Bonkers and mostly what's known as the Miranda episodes. And this is how I believe it should have went. Now, you're probably wondering what I mean about how it should have went. Well, it's quite simple. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that the Miranda episodes were greatly different in not only tone, but style, and so much more than the Lucky Pakel episodes. But what made the Miranda episodes a lot more different was the fact that you included the characters that were actually known to be Bonkers characters from the He's Bonkers cartoons during the Raw Toonage run, or at least the Raw Toonage series that aired on CBS Saturday mornings the year before. Now, I'm not saying the Miranda episodes with Bonkers were bad. No. In fact, a lot of fans look at them, I should say, and favor them at times over the Lucky ones. Mostly due to the fact that, like I said, it's more lighthearted, the tone is a lot more enjoyable, and it doesn't feel like one of the protagonists doesn't want to be around the other protagonists. Pretty much it. But, like I said, the one thing that a lot of people noticed when it came to the difference between the two was you had the Miranda episodes be based around the style and the characters that were from the He's Bonkers shorts. Heck, they even did an episode called Casa Bonkers, which is a play, if not a parody, or their take on Casablanca, where they pretty much still indicated that even outside of movie making and movie studios and acting, that Bonkers still had the same feelings for Fawn that he did on screen. Basically, he had those same feelings off screen as he did on screen. So, how could it have gone on? So the question now is, how could it have been different? How should it have went with these Miranda episodes? Well, one, the way I look at it, I'm not saying that the episodes we got weren't bad. They were actually pretty good. And when needed to, they would involve certain characters, even if they had a brief moment here and there, had a cameo, you name it. But I look at the fact that what we got in the transitional episode, New Partners on the Block, in that scene with the characters, pretty much gave me the impression that there could be more done with these characters. In fact, a lot of fans, through fan fiction, one of the more notable fan fictions known as Bonkers 1999, pretty much makes what could have been a reality in the stories. You see, one of the things that always got me when the Lucky Pakel episodes came around, and mostly the Going Bonkers pilot, was the last character to be kidnapped by the collector's minion, Mr. Doodles, was Fawn. So you can only imagine the potential that could have lent itself had Fawn remained uncaptured and maybe even joined the police force. Stories would probably be the same, but might have a bit of a balance or an unbalance. We don't know. Maybe we'd have a Fawn moment where she gets attracted by somebody and melts into a puddle of goo. I don't know. Honestly, I don't. Anyway, that kind of left the door open. That possibility of what could have been left the door open because, again, she's the last character to get kidnapped, so you can only imagine what would have happened if she wouldn't have been kidnapped. Now, like I said, the story potential was always there when it came to the Miranda ones. I mean, there were episodes where you had Jitters a dog, Bonkers sidekick and best friend or whatever, pretty much involved, sometimes directly in the story or somewhat subsequently into the story. Subsequently, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Into the story. In other words, he'd play a factor somewhat, some way. But here's the thing. What about the other characters? Well, I believe that there were certain stories that could have really benefited from them. I really do. I really think they had stories that could have benefited from them in major ways. Major ways. And I'm not joking about that either. They could have had episodes that worked in their favor. Now, being there are 19 episodes, I'm not going to list them all. But I think one episode that has joined the list of episodes that's banned right now is the episode Witness to the Prosecution. Well, basically, Miranda becomes a witness to basically one of the show's main antagonists trying to counterfeit money. She's a witness to it, and she's a witness to the person behind it called Lilith the Brave, who is basically looked at as a high socialite in Hollywood. So, long story short, Miranda has to go undercover. Has to go under house protection. Because not only is Lilith the Brave looked at as a high socialite, but she's also looked at as being very dangerous. So, you're wondering, well, how could they have made this a little bit more different? Well, quite frankly, Bonkers being Bonkers, he's trying to make Miranda feel comfortable and at home, and it isn't until towards the end that he kind of realizes, yeah, Miranda ain't too thrilled with the housewarming or whatever here. Maybe if I tone it down a bit, she'll be okay. So, you're probably wondering, okay, fine, but how would that be different? The way it would be different, quite honestly, is you have Miranda kind of meet up, or kind of have like a meeting with Jitters, and a meeting with Grumbles, and Tanya, and even add Fawn. That was one character that was missing out of that episode, was Fawn. You want to establish that this is based on the He's Bonkers cartoons, you have Fawn added to the equation. Anyway, I think what they could have done to kind of further the plot is, instead of having Miranda get mad, kind of ask Bonkers to kind of bring his friends to a meeting. She wants to have a meeting with him and his friends to kind of explain the situation. Instead of having Bonkers overhear it and overhear Miranda talking to the sergeant about maybe relocating, instead have her meet with Bonkers, and like she did the next day, kind of meet with him. Instead of having her be like, maybe I shouldn't have thrashed him. I mean, because you do get a scene later on where she kind of feels regrettable for what she did. And she knows he's only doing his best. So I think, in a sense, what you could have done is you could have capitalized on that, where you could have had her realize, basically put a meeting together. Like I said, you could have had, like I said, instead of having Bonkers overhear her talking to the sergeant and her kind of regretting her kind of lashing out on him, you could have had that all come together in one scene. You could have had Miranda explain her frustrations. Bonkers realize, okay, maybe it was a lot of control. And then have Miranda kind of also apologize and say, look, but besides that, I know you're trying to do your best, so I apologize for not realizing that. And you have a meeting, and you have her do this in a meeting with not just Bonkers, but you have a you have jitters in here, you have grumbles in here, you have Tanya in here, you have Fawn in here, you have Roderick in there, and you basically have her explain, look, I understand you're trying to make me feel comfortable and feel safe, kind of like, try to hide, kind of overlook what's happening, kind of like, because basically what Bonkers was trying to do was not only make her feel welcome, but kind of not think about what she has to deal with, So, yeah, they could have done that. They could have had a meeting to where Bonkers, does acknowledge that, what Miranda explains how she feels. Bonkers acknowledges that, but then Miranda kind of apologizes in a way, say, look, and I'm sorry that maybe I haven't really understood how you run things around here, or how you make people feel at home here. It's just, I need you guys to take this seriously for once, just for a little bit. Try to take what's going on seriously. I mean, we could have fun and all that, fine, but try to be serious when it matters. And I think the best, honestly, and I know it sounds like I'm rambling here, I do apologize, but I think the best way they could have done that is a scene where she met, like I said, with Bonkers and his friends and explained that situation. Another way I think the Miranda episodes could have gone is they at least could have given us, seeing as though it's this time of year, they could have given us a Christmas episode. I mean, we got one with the Lucky Paquel episodes, which was okay, but they never gave us one with the Miranda episodes, even though pretty much there's an episode that kind of teases they might have had something in mind. But I think honestly, they should have had a Miranda episode. And this is how I think they should have done it. They could have done the whole run-through with the Miranda episodes, because they even made Miranda episodes exclusive for the Disney Afternoon. Let's not hide that. So they could have easily done an episode or a special afterwards, well, mostly a Christmas episode afterwards, based on Christmas. They could have done a Christmas one. And I think the way that the Miranda episodes were drawn and created and were presented in tone, I think it could have really worked. And you could involve all the characters. You could involve not just Bonkers and Miranda. You can involve Jitters, Tanya, Grumbles, Fawn, and not just have them appear in cameos or little bit scenes here and there. I mean, full on involve them in the story. And I think a Christmas episode would have done that. If they would have gone that direction, action, with the Christmas episode, if they would have just added that on, I guarantee people will be talking about that probably, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful about the Lucky Paquel one, but they probably would have talked about that one more than the Miracle at the 34th Precinct episode. They probably would have talked about the Miranda one more than that. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But I think, honestly, they could have at least given us, one more episode based around Christmas. I really think they could have done that, because I think it would have worked. Again, I think people would have enjoyed it. And it'd be one of those stories that you can involve all the characters playing a major role. So, but that's how I think that's one of the ways I think the Miranda episodes could have gone and should have went, was at least include an episode based around Christmas. I really do. One more thing that I definitely think the Miranda episodes should have done, and basically how they should have went, was not just including a Christmas episode, or even rearranging certain scenes in the episode witless to the prosecution, but I think the other way they could have done this is at least do an episode that basically you have Bonkers do the recruitment, just like in the fan fiction later on, years later on, of Bonkers 99, but actually have it done in the cartoon. Have an episode where Bonkers has to recruit his friends. We're talking Jitters, we're talking Grumbles, we're talking Fawn. Have a bit of, have it be a bit of a play off of the Darkwing Squad episode from Darkwing Duck, but instead you call it, I think, what is it, Bonkers Squad or the Bonker? I don't know, something like that. But basically do an episode where you have, at least for that episode, Bonkers and his friends as cops, because Miranda is probably sick. Oh, there's some kind of like virus going around, and the only people that could find out, the only individuals not affected by it are Toons. So Bonkers uses this opportunity to be like, okay, Toons aren't affected, but humans are. I'm going to recruit my friends, because it's going to take more than just one Bobcat to handle this. So, yeah, I think they should have at least done an episode like that. Could have been really interesting, just to see how the team works. I mean, heck, just to see Bonkers' reaction to Fawn walking out in a police lady's outfit or something like that. It'd be like, whoa, kind of deal. But again, it's just something that I think they should have done, and how the Miranda episodes should have went. And yeah, that's really about it. But I think they should have at least done an episode like that, and I think it would have worked. Overall, the three things that I mentioned are basically ideas of how I believe the Miranda episodes should have went during the Bonkers run. I think, honestly, in my opinion, a lot of people would have enjoyed them being done like that. I really think, honestly, the meeting part that I was trying to get at for Witless for the prosecution episode, I think could have worked, because you could have gotten everything done in that one particular scene, and you could have got everybody involved in some capacity. The Christmas one definitely should have been something they should have done before the series was canceled or came to an end. And honestly, I think we should have had an episode as well, to where at least for one episode you have Bonkers